Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the AI Summit New York. Myself, Bhumika, and I am data solution engineer and researcher. And today I am honored to chair this session about the algorithm section, trust, truth, and transformation in AI. Well, we know that AI has been a technology accelerator for past few years, but now it has reached to boardrooms for decision making. Therefore, we need a system that is trustworthy, transparent, traceable, and also that could innovate faster. So, to talk about that, we have this exceptional panel with us. We have Dr. Helen Gu. She is the CEO of InsightFinder and professor of computer science at NC State University. She is known for her work in AI reliability, anomaly detection, and self-healing systems. Then we have Bodhan. He is the CEO of Crosscheck Technology. Crosscheck Technology is committed to solving the challenges of compliance and certification through innovation and transparency. And then we have Mohammed Alimi. He is VP of Engineering at Big I, which is leading the advancement in data quality monitoring and product grade AI practices that keep enterprise systems reliable and accountable. Welcome and thank you for your time today. So I'll start with this. I'm going to start this session, and we will first talk about the explainability and trust in high-stake AI environment. My first question for our panel is: as AI systems grow more opaque, especially in regulated industry, how do you decide when model is explainable enough to be trusted, and what is the threshold? Helen, do you want to go first?
Sure. Okay. Hi. Good afternoon, everyone. So I think the model is actually widely known now. We all use ChatGPT every day. But the question is that a lot of people don't understand is that behind the model, it's basically statistical algorithms, right? So those models are built on top of statistical algorithms. And the reason why we actually feel like AI is so accessible now is that the output coming from the natural language. However, this also imposes a big risk because those statistical models, inevitably, they will produce mistakes, right? Because it's non-deterministic. However, without the domain knowledge, you don't necessarily know the algorithm, the models giving you wrong answer, right? I give you a very simple example. If you type in a Windows error code into ChatGPT, Anthropic, or Gemini, any models, mostly well-trained models, they all give you an answer, and the answer is completely wrong. And if you don't know, if you're not expert in that domain, you will basically don't know you are actually at the risk of making any decisions based on the wrong answers. So building trust into those AI models is critically important. And more importantly is that most of the time, those problems are not known. So we need to actually building this trust framework into AI models from day one. And the question is that when we know it's reliable enough, it's trustworthy enough to deploy in production, my answer is that basically you should iterate your model with your real customers as early as possible. And so you need to actually deploy and then get feedbacks from a user and have this built-in mechanism to continuously improve your model.
Thank you so much. Mohammed, what is your take on this?
Well, let me go through this. We're saying it's getting more opaque, and I want to explain a bit. So it could be because it's structurally more complex, and that is the case that we've seen now with LLMs and with multi-step pipeline like RAGs and agent. But it could be completely closed. It's a black box, like a model from OpenAI and things like that. Now, I would say in this case, we need to work at a system level. So for structured model that we build in-house, for instance, we can go through 3 steps. The one step, which is about having a level of a sparsity of explainability, and having a level of what we call fidelity. And I'll explain what that means. The second one is, what is your stability to a small change in the model input? And the third one is obviously coverage and auditability and human basically reviews. So the first one, what do I mean by that? The systems or the models are getting complex. And one of the techniques that people have been using is to create a smaller one, a surrogate model that tries to mimic these complicated models. And then you define two notions, fidelity and sparsity. Fidelity means that, okay, within a small neighborhood, the surrogate actually operates very closely to the complex model, the original model, and we can measure these things. And then sparsity, you want explainability that is not involved in too many factors. We want at most 3 to 5 factors, for instance. These are factors that are relevant to policies and that are easy to review by a human. So this is the case that is not LLMs, that is not completely opaque. For the other cases, you can't really use these techniques because although in the first case you can say this prediction is driven at 70% by this feature A and 20% by B, we cannot do that with LLMs. You can't say, oh, the next token is going to be driven by X, Y, and Z. Well, first of all, even if we could do it, it's so expensive. And then the other thing is you will generate something that is not even actionable. You can't govern on that. It's weakly stable. So what you go is you define a notion of behavior at the system level and scaffolding. What is behavior? You define a set of prompts and eval sets. And these prompts with expected outputs, these are related to groundedness of truth or factual. Another set of prompts would be about safety, and then the other set of prompts could be about bias, for instance. And so that is the notion of behavior. The scaffolding is basically saying, I want my LLMs or models to operate on well-specific inputs. I control the inputs, and I also work and post-process the output, the access to the tools, the access to the data. And you can, in a way, provide a good level of trust for these type of models.
Oh, makes sense. Oh, and Gordon, what is your take on this? What do you think about it?
Yeah, Bhumika, for us is basically because we are doing supply chain compliance. It is really essential that the quality of the inputs and the outputs is good. So I can actually measure that because we work together with auditors, and the auditors are highly skilled professional people. So we basically give them access to see what AI does for them. And here I also agree with Helen that we should give the access as soon as possible, even if you're not sure 100% it's going to be super high quality, 100% correct. So if it's like 90% correct, and the auditor can review it and tell, hey, so maybe from this 100 questions, 10 are incorrect, we can improve. And this is how we would also measure the quality of AI, is by combining basically AI with real experts, real auditors. And then every time we got more and more feedback, maybe at some point we will have 99 questions out of 100 that are really correct, reviewed by the auditors. So I would say this is the right way for us, and this really works in real life, like agriculture compliance or food compliance and things like that.
Nice. Thank you for sharing this example. Let's move to our next section. Our next section is about governance, compliance, and regulations. And my question for our panel is, regulations are tightening worldwide, but overly rigid governance can kill innovation. How do you design governance structures that ensure compliance and accelerate deployment at the same time? Bhutan, do you want to go first?
Yeah, sure. I mean, again, for us in compliance, we basically start with regulations, and with like specifically we focus on European regulations. This is where we started. And like with Brussels, you have a lot of compliance also with the EI Act and etc. So for us to take here is, as long as we are not breaking things, we should test. I mean, we are a startup, so this is like the nature of testing and iterating fast. So this is what we do. We just deploy it, see if this is not breaking, if this is not like illegal, we should deploy it, we should test it. And then regarding the regulations, it's also based on what our customers need. If the customers, some customers might say, we need all of the data to be on European servers, for example. So we are a US company, so for us it becomes a bit tricky. But in other cases, if we don't see that there are some regulations restricting us to actually go on the field, give it in the hands of real auditors, real companies, we do it, and then we learn from the feedback. So it kind of taps back from my previous comment, I guess. So if we see really high regulations where we cannot do something, we just consult. But yeah, as long as, like, especially in Europe, if you have long cycles of innovation of the regulation, you have to kind of maneuver in the way where you can act and don't stand. So for us as a startup, speed is most important.
Yeah, it makes sense. We need innovation, we need governance, but then we need balance between two. So Helen, what is your take on this?
Yeah, this is definitely an interesting question. And I think a lot of people think like innovation and governance or security, reliability sometimes not hand in hand. But what actually happening is that I believe if you want to have your AI technology has real usage, you need to think about reliability governance from day one. This is not something you can compromise. And on the other hand, I would like to make an analogy between our computer system and this AI governance or reliability framework we are trying to build here. For example, you use a computer, right? So whatever you build application, it's on top of operating systems, right? Operating system is designed to guard your hardware and make sure your computer is safe to use. And so similar here, and we need an operating system for AI technology. And so that's what we are trying to build at the InsightFinder, is to provide this reliability and governance framework from day one to our customers, so they don't need to worry about that, right? So we can abstract a lot of like complexity and complex processing and checking, continuous checking, verification, into a basic automation framework, right? So all those things should be done in the background all the time. So users, right, developers or data scientists, AI engineers, they can innovate, and they don't need to worry about actually building those frameworks again and again for each application, right? So we should actually abstract those things away from the business-specific business logic process.
Well, that makes sense. We definitely need a way to innovate, but also trust the output so that we can take good and better decisions. Thank you. So next we will move towards monitoring, observability, and reliability. So my question for the panel is, enterprises still struggle with real-time visibility into drift, data issues, or reliability failures. What does effective model monitoring look like in 2025 and beyond? And what must team do differently? Mohammed, do you want to go first?
Yeah, sure. Let me ask the last question. I would say teams should move away from monitoring reports that are typically done by or for data scientists and on a cadence of like a month or so. I don't think that is real time. I don't think that is going to cut it. And then move to almost like, I would call it like an SRE type of urgency. So that's the answer to the second question. Real-time monitoring, I would say it would consist of three things. First, telemetry. Telemetry in production, telemetry at decision time. So what does that mean? We have to basically stream these prediction events or interaction events to a pipeline that would be processed to define drift, to define data quality, to define multiple behavior signals, and these will be used to alert on. So which leads to the second part, which is alerting is not just to watch something going off, but also like to have actions, and a lot of these actions could be automated. It could be a fallback to a more deterministic system, for instance, or a complete shutdown to something that is deemed unsafe because of the signal. And also, like, if you don't tie all this up together with your incident management, it's useless. So that's, I would say, the third part. Now, for the aspect of telemetry, for classic models, what you log in typically inputs the prediction, the model version, the data set you're accessing, which is really crucial, and also the version of the data set. For LLMs and things like agents, typically the prompts, the tools that are being used, any guardrail that's being used, any data that's being accessed, the data classification of that. So those are really useful information to have.
Definitely. Yeah. I'm going to save this answer for my future reference. Thank you so much. The next for this is Budan. What is your take on this?
Yeah, I feel like with enterprises, you have to have like a balance between really using everything that you have as data with applicable AI, because enterprises, they have already so much on data available from all the years, even before AI was even a thing. And I think this is a good point for many enterprises. Like one of our agricultural customers, they have like hundreds of operations for auditor, for supply chain on food, like crop production and things like that. And then they can get a lot of information from yield, what types of fertilizer they use. Like it goes really specific. And then this like first data, it's not like public average data, it's really data from the fields. I think using all this kind of data makes a big difference compared to using public data. So I would think there is the big potential for enterprises to actually use all the data that have already stored, like historically, for many years, many supply chains, many actors in the field, and just apply AI to it. And that is a big difference compared to like public data and public models as well.
Yes, and especially when we talk about auditing part, this monitoring section is very important. Helen, what do you think about it?
Yeah, and I would like to actually mention 3 points here. So the first thing we learned is that for the AI system monitoring, you probably not just only need basically the data or model itself monitoring and observe those behaviors, but also you need to actually have the holistic view of the infrastructure, network, everything together. So when we work with our customers, one of the interesting I found out is that we work with the AI platform team, for example. And so whenever they have AI model problems, everybody actually say, oh, that's an algorithm problem. So then the data science basically figure out, okay, what's going on with my algorithm, anything wrong, and then a lot of times they find out that it's basically a data quality issue or it's an infrastructure issue, right? So it's basically all the kind of finger pointing issue in observability now in the AI system becomes even more serious. So in order to avoid this kind of delay in the diagnosis troubleshooting, you need to have a holistic solution to monitor all of that. So number 2 is that I think we need more real-time kind of monitoring solutions, because a lot of times, again, with our customers, and so they basically tell us it takes like days, weeks to detect a model drift in their environments. And it's too late, right? We work with the largest credit card company in the US. And so every credit card transactions is going through their fraud detection models. And if their fraud detection models has model drift, has model errors, it impacts every one of us, right? We cannot make purchases. So, and a lot of times when those model drift problem happens, they don't know. And once they detect it like weeks later, their customers already suffered because you need to make a purchase, you cannot do it, right? So in order to actually catch those problems, you need to actually have a real-time monitoring solution. Then the last thing is that I think it's not just about monitoring, it's about fixing the problem, right? So that's why, we are not just collecting those failed results, but also we use those failed results as training data to further fine-tune your model, to correct your model for you automatically, right? So as I mentioned in the first one, that I believe the trust reliability framework should be the first step in any production AI system. So very important mechanism you need to build into your system is feedback collection, right? You need to collect feedbacks from your real users and use that feedbacks to continuously improve your models. So that's basically, I think, the real functioning observability solution will need to have these three characteristics in the future. Yeah.
Well, that makes sense. So our next section is my favorite section. It is about jobs in future. So organizational culture and skills for the future. My question is, what skills and mindsets must team develop now to stay relevant, resilient, and job stable as AI reshapes the future of work? So, Helen, do you want to take it first?
Yeah, so that's always actually a interesting topic, right? So a lot of controversial opinions about this, and so a lot of people worry about AI replacing people's jobs. I think that the key thing here is that AI is not only replacing basically some of the tasks that we don't want to do, but also it will actually change our workflows, right? I think a lot of workflows requires manual steps, requires basically a lot of human processing. And so it will be replaced by AI, right? And it should be, because for some tasks, like on-call SRE, nobody wants to do that, right? So you don't want to wake up at midnight to fix some bugs. So those things should be replaced by AI, right? And now what I think in the future is that human should actually focus on doing things that basically can change the life, right? So more innovation, and also in terms of the skills, right? Another head of mine is a professor, so I teach computer science class, and so one thing I always tell my students is that it's not about learning what is it, right? So what is this concept? It's about learning why this concept is invented, and how do we actually use that, and in a different way. So this is basically what fundamental skills that everybody should learn, is that how to actually innovate, how to think about new process, new concepts. And it's more about the innovation. It's less about memorization. It's less about the protocols you have to remember. So that's, I think, it's going to change, and it's happening now. So one thing I like is that people always saying AI will not replace the job that you own, but AI will replace the job you don't know how to use AI.
That makes sense. Mohammed, what is your take on this?
I would say don't be afraid of AI. I would say embrace it. Use it as a tool. I mean, there's multiple ways of handling it. I think it's a great boost for innovation. You can accelerate so many things with AI. You have to use it carefully. Obviously, you have to know its limitation. I mean, for a software engineer, for instance, I mean, they need to know basically what it means to interact with an AI system. There's a little bit of, it's very different from deterministic system in the old days. And so they need to adjust with that. Using it as a tool to, let's say, develop software much faster, or any scientist that could be using that to go through data much faster. We've seen impressive results in astronomy due to that, and drug discovery too. I think that is the part we should be embracing and not be worried about it. I think the people who will say, no, I'm not going on this path, they will be left behind. That's how I see it. The other part, I feel, which is probably dangerous, I know that it helps you to learn things. You can go to ChatGPT or anything in Google, but it has the risk of making you inactive and passive. A passive learner, if you don't train your brain to really try to solve these problems yourself, And I've seen this problem already with students, even in elementary and middle school, using these tools. So I've seen also adults using it, software engineers who are heavily relying on these things. And the day where they have a problem where they can't really use AI, they suffer from it. So I would say embrace it, don't be scared from it, but you have to be careful also.
Well, it makes sense. And this topic is something I am also researching in my PhD dissertation. And I found out that AI will not replace people, but it will definitely replace people who are not embracing this technology change. So thank you so much for your reviews on it. Lastly, we have a lightning round where we will ask some questions from them, and they just have to answer it in one sentence. So my first question, and it will be for three of you. So my first question is, trustworthy AI in one sentence, what does it mean to you? Who want to go first?
I can go.
Okay.
For me, trustworthy AI leads to meaningful people conversations. Sounds counterintuitive. Okay, that's the second
One
sentence. Right, that's it.
Makes sense. Helen, you want to go second?
Yeah, AI to me means automation.
Makes sense. What about you, Mohammed?
Trustworthy AI, I would say, is an AI system that is well-defined within, I would call within a risk envelope that is evaluated ahead of time. That means observability, auditability, and things like that. So we can make sure that once that AI system is deployed, it is safe.
Thank you. So my next question, again, one sentence question. If you had a magic wand and could fix one thing in enterprise AI overnight, what would it be? Helen, anybody can go. Helen, you want to go first?
Sure. So I think what I want to fix is that AI should be customizable. And I don't want my customer to continue to suffer from those problems from the frontier models, which does have problems, even 1% of the problems that can cause big problems to your business.
Thank you. Vadan?
Yeah, I would say data quality and focusing on data quality, because if you fix the data quality in, you will fix everything else going out.
Well, yeah, I could think about one quote that I always hear from last 7-8 years: garbage in, garbage out. So that happens with AI models too. Mohammed, what is?
It's same fixed data foundation. I mean, it's a necessary condition; it's not sufficient. And what I mean by that is data quality, clear lineage. You do not want AI to be tapping into data that we don't even know if it's authorized to access.
Makes sense. Last question for our panel. The one capacity every enterprise must master in 2025 and beyond to avoid any AI disaster.
Can I take that one? So because that's easy. I think you definitely need some reliability platform in place to avoid that disaster. So particularly also, as we know, like those core foundation models, and if you rely on them only, and when OpenAI is down, your business is down. That's actually pretty bad, right? Yeah. So I think you need to have this reliability and redundancy in place to avoid any disaster.
Well, makes sense. Vadan?
Yeah, my answer will be a bit biased. I would say enterprises working more and trusting more startups would lead to a lot of more learning for both. And many startups try to do something just in-house, wasting a lot of time, failing without integrating some outside startup teams. So I think this is important for next year for many enterprises.
Well, I guess I would say +1 to both the answers. Mohammed, what is your take on this?
Now, I would say end-to-end control of AI systems through runtime policy enforcement, like security-grade runtime policy enforcement, I would say.
Well, again, we have something new to learn. So, but yeah, thank you so much for your time. It was very insightful session, and I hope audience enjoyed it. Do you have any questions for our panel today? No questions means that it was either very good or I will take it with the good part. So thank you so much for your time, and thank you so much to three of you for taking time.
Thank you.